So bacon, and I don't mean the pig meat, I mean baking, is a notoriously difficult task. It is quite literally science. But one man, Louis Gantis, has set out to challenge that notion with his series, Bacon Ain't Shit. So Louis Gantis is a TikTok creator. He has almost 1 million followers and consistently pulls in incredible views. He is a talented creator, to say the least. He is good at capturing attention. And where I first found him is a series we're talking about today, where he tries to make a baked good, but the catch is he has no idea how to bake. He has never had no formal training and has not practiced a whole bunch in his own personal life. That is the series. Now, these videos is made with a certain sort of bravado, right? A real arrogance, a real confidence about it, right? That is really encapsulated in like the motto of this series.
Moral of the story is baking ain't shit. I am a god and my ego is thriving.
And that clip that I just showed you came from when he made macarons, but the bravado was kind of misplaced when he didn't exactly make them right. Now, the first thing I was going to mention is a bit nitpicky. It's not really talking about his technique or anything like that. It's more so, I think he got confused.
Mojo.com named macarons one of the top 10 hardest dishes to make. I'm here to prove that baking is easy as fuck and to boost my own ego.
I think you might have seen it if you know anything about macarons. He said macaron, which is the correct term for this right here, the French dish with the two little cake and the cream. Yeah, right? But then he wrote macaroon in the subtitles. Macaroon, very different actually. The top one, macaron. The second one below, macaroon, right? Now that's nitpicky. Most people won't know that.
I've never made macaroons before.
But wait, you keep watching. Then he switches the pronunciation again. He goes from macarons to macaroons. Again, simple mistake. I thought it meant the same thing. And to be fair, if we go to the Watch Mojo list that he was talking about, it's about macarons. That's what it's about. So I think some people criticizing me on this one. I don't think that's the biggest thing. I think he made a simple mistake of getting the terms confused. But then again, I've never really seen a macaroon before I started to research this. I'd only heard about macarons, and I heard people use macaroon interchangeably for macaron. That's just a dumb American thing. Whatever. Not a super big deal. That's the macaroni made. It's a little bit overbaked, and there's a little too much. Whatever. It's not perfect, but it's fine. He made an incredibly hard thing, and it came out all right. I think people who's trying to criticize him here and be like, oh, he didn't do that right, is kind of doing too much. While it's definitely not a perfect macaron, and if I went to any place that sold macarons and I purchased one that looked like that, I would ask for a refund because that's not what I was getting. For something that is homemade by someone who does not bake, I think that's really, really good. And from what I could tell, this macaron video was either one of the first or the first video of this series that he had made where it's like the tongue-in-cheek like bravado, right? Where he's like, oh, Isaac God, whatever. Because like, when I first saw it, I took it as a joke. Because like, obviously, no, he did kind of mess up. It's not perfect, but it's tongue-in-cheek, whatever. Like, it's a joke. But then recently, and this is what caused me to make this video, he tried to make Baumkuchen. This is Baumkuchen. If you don't know, it is originally a German dish that has become very, very popular in Japan. Well, Louis decides, okay, I was going to make this for a video. And so he makes it, and I will show you the finished outcome. This is what his outcome was. I think it's a decent attempt, especially for a beginner in cooking, which is something he admits to very often, right? It's the whole premise of the series. That is not what it should look like, though. That is what it should look like. You notice there's a lot more layers, it's a lot more compact, it's not as messy. And again, this is also me looking at it visually, not being a baker can see like the visual signs of being something overbaked. I don't know texturally what it's like. A lot of times in baking, you can make something that looks good, but texturally would be off or something like that, right? Because you have to be really exact with the temperature you cook something at, how long you cook it for, how you whip up your eggs if there's eggs in it. Like, it's a really complicated process that has to do with a lot of chemical reactions. And again, like, I think it's a decent attempt for a beginner, right? But I think the issue is on the part where he cooks each individual cake is kind of cooked similarly to a pancake on like a skillet or something. He just made his layers too big. And then however way he rolled it up, He just made it loose and like it fell apart pretty easily. But then again, people's not annoyed with him over the fact that like, oh, he's not like a perfect baker or something, because no, it's a difficult thing. Everyone admits that. I think what's rubbing people the wrong way is this is now a continued series. It wasn't just like a one-off bit, and he has kept up that same bravado, right? Because he made this, right? Which is not what the actual dish looks like. Typically, it's a lot thinner, there's much more layers, but this is how he describes his output.
As always, these came out perfect. Although I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the lamest desserts I've ever tried. Once again, baking ain't shit, I am a god and my ego is still thriving.
You know, he makes this thing, it does not turn out like perfect or whatever, but he claims again, oh, I made this perfect. The dessert's not even good. And my ego is unmatched, like I still like the god or whatever. Which I understand, that's kind of annoying. Like this is not just like a one-off bit, this is now like a reoccurring thing on your channel, and you're claiming to be good at something that you're not. And then you make something and then you don't necessarily like it, but you also didn't make it fully correctly. So it's just like, I don't know, for a second put down the bravado and just be like, I don't think I did bad, but like it's not perfect. At this point, it doesn't necessarily hold up as like a joke because it's a continued thing. If it's a one-off, it works. But seeing as that original video he did, the macarons, which I think was the first one from what I could see on his channel, unless he's taken something down or I just missed something, that got like 5.9 million views, which is a lot more than his other stuff. Not saying his other stuff did bad, but this was obviously a really lucrative idea. You know, like trying to bake something with no experience. That's an interesting concept, right? And also this, the bravado, it made it fun. But then when you make a continued thing and you keep claiming to be really good at it, but you're just not, and then at the same time, you'll like kind of put the dish down that you didn't make fully correct. It's like, oh, what's going on? Like, again, this isn't like, oh my God, this is problematic. He's an awful person. He's mean. Let's cancel him. But it's kind of just like, that's annoying. You know what I mean? That's like, ah. But the biggest blunder came from when he made tiramisu. Tiramisu is an Italian dish. So it's like ladyfinger pastries that's like dipped in coffee and then layered with like whipped eggs and then mascarpone and something. And it's like, this is kind of what he's going for. This is a pretty basic, simple recipe. If he execute it well, it should look like that.
Baking shit I've never baked before to prove that baking is easy. Today we're making tiramisu. I don't know why, but it's really hard to find a place serving some good tiramisu. It's one of the most underappreciated desserts out there while also being one of the best ones. I'm making everything from scratch because of course I am, including the ladyfingers. I looked it up and ladyfingers got their name because they're supposed to resemble, you guessed it, a lady's finger. Let me just tell you right now, if you're a lady and your fingers look like this, I highly suggest seeing a medical professional. I have yet to find something to bake that challenges me, and honestly, I just want a recipe where I don't have to wait an absurd amount of time in between each step. Don't worry, I'm still gonna do the sourdough bread, but the starter is taking its sweet time. I couldn't be asked to wait overnight until this thing set, so I gave it a few hours in the fridge, and I'd say it said enough. Who cares? And how did it taste? Fucking amazing. What did you expect? Once again, baking ain't shit. I am a god and my ego is still thriving.
The issue with that is a simple one. He did every step well, except he didn't do the waiting part. Like, I don't know if you could see that. That's very liquidy. Tiramisu should be solid and firm because it chills down in the fridge. Now, this one is simple. From my limited experience of baking chocolate chip cookies, he did pretty much every step right. He made like the lady's finger from scratch. He did pretty good, and then he just didn't wait. But then at the end of the video, he doesn't acknowledge that the outcome was changed because of that. And he goes, oh, it's set just fine. And I's a god, and my ego is unmatched. I'm like, I get it. It's a bit. I get it. It's a bit. It's just kind of annoying. This is not a video where I go, this is a big takedown. This and this guy's career. He's weird. He's a liar. He's problematic. Not at all. I think the videos is fine. It's just like, admit when you made a mistake. Like, admit when you did something wrong. Because the first video, which I thought was a bit, because it's like, okay, this is like a good attempt, but it's not like perfect. And it was like tongue-in-cheek of like, oh, I was being arrogant and over the top when I didn't really perform to like really justify and back up that arrogance. But then every single video, it's the same thing, and he makes it like an amateur, which is fine because he's an amateur baking stuff. But it's just kind of annoying. That's it. Just kind of annoying. And right now, It's summer. I don't have school. I can talk about stuff that's kind of annoying. I have the time right now. But yeah, also the comments just don't fuck with them. Like there's this comments like maybe the tiramisu was the friends we made along the way, or like that's not tiramisu, that's tiramisu or whatever. Like that's funny. So yeah, moral of the story, he's an amateur baker who makes amateur baked goods. And he just acts like he's not. He's not a bad guy. From what I can tell. He's not problematic. He's just a bit annoying. And that's the moral of the story. If you like this video, give me money on Patreon. I probably won't post on there. Maybe a little bit more because it's the summer now, but just give me money. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment down below. Have a good day.